All right, let's talk about it. Technology is absolutely exploding in our schools, in our workplaces, everywhere. It promises to completely change the game for how we learn. But, behind all the hype and the shiny new gadgets, what is really going on? Let's peel back the layers and look at the dream, the reality, and the actual future of educational technology. So, just to give you an idea of the scale we're talking about, get a load of this number. Nearly $600 billion. That's the projection for the global edtech market by 2032. We are pouring an unbelievable amount of money into digital tools, new platforms, and software, all hoping it's going to transform education. The financial bet here is, well, it's massive. And that, of course, leads to the most important question of all. With all this cash being thrown around, with all these incredible new tools, are students actually learning better? Are we really seeing the kind of results that a nearly $600 billion price tag should deliver? First, let's start with the exciting part. Let's explore the dream. Because the vision for what edtech could be is pretty incredible. It really paints a picture of a future where learning is more personal, more engaging, and way more powerful than anything we've ever seen before. I mean, just look at what's on the cutting edge. We're talking about AI tutors that literally adapt to your personal learning style in real time. Imagine virtual reality field trips where you can walk through ancient Rome, or quizzes that are gamified to feel more like you're playing a game than taking a test. Tech can even help create entire lesson plans or secure your academic records on the blockchain. This is the promised land of edtech for sure. But it's not just about the flashy gadgets, right? The real dream is about changing the learning process itself, deep down. Technology lets us simulate things we could never do in a normal classroom. Think about a medical student practicing a complex surgery in a totally safe virtual environment. It boosts collaboration, letting students from different corners of the world work on the same project. And it just enriches the whole experience, giving us access to ideas and perspectives we'd never get otherwise. This right here, this captures the whole shift in thinking perfectly. The old way was learning from technology. It was basically a digital textbook. You were a passive learner, just soaking up facts. The new way, the dream, is learning with technology. The tech becomes what some people call a mind tool, something that helps you as an active learner to actually build your own knowledge and think critically about it. And this brings us to a really critical turning point in the conversation. We have all this amazing potential, all these mind-blowing tools. But does just handing a student a tablet automatically guarantee a better education? As you've probably guessed, the answer is, well, it's not quite that simple. And this is where we hit our reality check. It's time to shift the entire conversation away from what technology we're using and focus completely on how we're using it. Because it turns out the tool itself is way, way less important than the strategy behind it. This quote from the researcher Andrew Gibbons just hits the nail on the head. He's describing a classic trap that a lot of people fall into called media centrism. It's what happens when we get so excited about the cool, flashy VR headset that we forget what the actual goal is, learning. We start designing our lessons for the tech instead of using the tech to design for actual, learning. This diagram here does a great job of breaking it down. You see those two layers? The top layer, the physical layer, that's the media, that's the app, the device, the what. But look at the layer underneath, the pedagogical layer. That's the why, the teaching strategy, the learning principles. And as you can see, the physical layer doesn't really impact learning directly. The real magic, the real impact, comes from that foundational pedagogical layer. So, okay, how do we make sure we're focusing on that pedagogical layer? Well, a model like PICRAT here can really help. Instead of just looking at what the teacher is doing with the tech, we have to flip it and ask, what is the student actually doing? Are they just passively consuming content? Are they actively interacting with it? Or, and this is the goal, are they being creative and using the technology to build something totally new? Okay, so we've established that the how is way more important than the what. Now let's get into the direct impact on students themselves. Because the second you bring technology into a classroom, you're also bringing in a whole new set of very human factors. Everything from engagement and distraction to fairness and equity. Let's just state the obvious, because we've all been there. A notification pops up on the screen, some flashy animation starts playing, and boom. Just like that, your focus is gone. The learning moment is lost. Honestly, this is one of the single biggest challenges we have to solve.
The good news is, decades of research into how our brains work give us some really clear guidelines on how to fight that distraction. The big idea is actually pretty simple. Design things that are coherent and clear. Cut out the extra fluff. Keep related words and pictures close together. Basically, just eliminate all the unnecessary noise so the brain can actually focus on what's important.
Now, this is fascinating. This research shows how different people can experience the exact same technology in completely different ways. For example, female students tend to rely on tech more to manage their schoolwork, but they're also way more likely to get distracted by it. And look at that bottom row. Male students are more likely to feel like their teacher is actually socially present in an online class. It just goes to show you a one-size-fits-all approach to technology is doomed to fail.
And then we have the huge critical issue of equity. The digital divide, it isn't just about whether or not you have a laptop. It's about having fast, reliable internet at home. It's about knowing how to use these tools effectively. And some really troubling research shows that in schools with fewer resources, tech is often used for basic drills, while in more affluent schools, it's used for creative, higher-order thinking tasks. So instead of closing the achieving gap, it could actually be making it wider. So where does all this leave us? On the one hand, we have the incredible promise of the dream. On the other, we have these really complex, thorny, real-world hurdles. Building our digital future means we have to stop and confront these challenges head-on.
And believe me, these challenges are significant. We have to figure out how to protect student data. We have to completely rethink what cheating even means now that AI can write an entire essay. We absolutely have to close that digital divide. We have to make sure our AI tools aren't biased. And we've got to find that tricky balance between using tech to help and using it to spy on students. These are the ethical minefields we have to navigate right now. If there is one single word, one concept that you take away from this entire explainer, I hope it's this one: pedagogy. It's the art and the science of teaching. It is the blueprint. And technology must always serve the pedagogy. It can never, ever be the other way around. I love this quote because it just sums it all up perfectly. Technology is a powerful amplifier. It can amplify a brilliant, engaging, and equitable lesson plan, or it can amplify a distracting and unfair one. The tools are incredibly powerful, but their ultimate impact depends entirely on us, the builders, and the blueprints we design. So the final thought I want to leave you with is this. We're really at a crossroads. The easy path is to just keep buying the next new gadget. The harder path, the much more important path, is to step back and ask ourselves, what kind of learning do we actually want to create? And then, only then, do we figure out how technology can help us get there.